Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to another session of Art and Culture. So, this is the first session of the day. And in this particular session, before I start the today's topic, that is Sikhism and the remaining part of Bhakti movement, I want to discuss two important events which are very, very important from the current affairs point of view, which are like kind of certainty that they might be seen in the exam, right? So I'm going to discuss those two events first, and then we are going to move forward to Sikhism. We are going to move forward to Sikhism, right? So this is the basic idea which we are going to discuss. So the first important event, so the first important event, which is like there in the newspaper today, is your 100 years of Jamia Millia Islamia. 100 years of Jamia Millia Islamia, right? So this is the basic event which is important. So today is October 29 and the year is 2020. So therefore, on October 29, 1920, Jamia was Jamia was established, right? So that is the basic idea. So this is the completion of 100 years of Jamia Millia Islamia, right? So that is what we are going to study in this particular thing. So the point is, why do you people think that 100 years of Jamia Millia Islamia is important? Why do you think this is even an event in the today's newspaper? Why do you think it has been given so much of importance? That is the completion of 100 years of Jamia Millia Islamia. Why do you think so? Why do people think so that it has been given so much of importance in the today's newspaper? Okay. You people have exactly 1 minute to answer this. Then I'm going to get on to the explanation part of it. Because it's a Muslim university, okay. To be fair with every religion, okay. Because it's a prestigious minority institution, okay. Fine. Anything else you people want to tell me about Jamia Millia Islamia rather than being just a Muslim tagline or something? If anything else you people want to tell me. Okay. So last 20 seconds, if anybody wants to tell me anything more rather than this prestigious Muslim university and everything, your views are welcome. At least in my class, I am open to every view, right? Okay, you people keep on typing. In the meanwhile, I'll just tell you the whole idea, right? Okay. So what happened is, I'll just go into the backstory during the time of formation of Jamia Millia Islamia, right? So what happens is, Mahatma Gandhi, he comes to India in 1915. He comes back to India from South Africa in 1915. And for the like for 3 to 4 years, or say 5 years, he is not that politically active, right? He is not that politically active. As we have seen in modern India, or those of you have not covered modern India, we will see in modern India that the point is, for the first 4 years, he was not engaged in very mass movement like ideas. He was engaged in very, very localized contextual movements like Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad, and a little bigger movement known as Rowlatt, right? So that is the basic idea. So what happens is now, after the end of Rowlatt movement, what happens is Gandhi starts to visit various places of India, right? He starts to visit various places of India, and then Gandhi realizes that to make his movement successful, to spread the message of his movement far and wide, what he needs is the support of student community, right? Support of the teaching community, right? So he thought that universities are one of the major points where he can spread awareness about his movement, right? So that is the basic idea. And this is something which is also kind of visible in the movements of Gandhi, जहाँ पे he is seeking the support of students in each of his movements, where he is saying, do not go to colleges, do not go to school, refuse to oblige, refuse to obey any order of the British teachers, officers in your colleges and schools, right? So that is the basic idea. तो अब क्या होता है? Gandhi goes to Aligarh Muslim University or Mayo College, right? Aligarh Muslim University in Mayo College, right? So what happens is when he goes there, वहां पे जाके he kind of encourages people, right? Look, he says, look, तुम लोग क्या कर रहे हो? You are just trying to prove your loyalty to the Union Jack. You are trying to prove your loyalty to the British government, which is exploitative in nature, which is not doing anything good for you, right? How can you even do this while staying in India? So इससे हुआ क्या? These fiery words of Gandhi actually started or triggered a kind of sensation in the minds of the teachers, in the minds of the students. They said, no longer we are going to prove our loyalty to the Britishers. We are going to stand against them. We are going to propagate those ideas which will be proving beneficial for the freedom struggle in India, right? So that was the basic idea. So what happens is, so this is the time, October 29, 1920, when Jamia Millia Islamia gets established, first of all, at Aligarh, right? And this is also the time when non-cooperation movement had already started. On August 1, 1920, the call for non-cooperation movement all throughout the country was given. So the formation of non-cooperation movement, or the starting of non-cooperation movement rather, and the formation of Jamia Millia Islamia coincided. So it was a part of non-cooperation movement to promote nationalist education, to promote the ideas which will glorify the India's past, which will kind of create awareness among the Indian people that look, before the coming of the Britishers, you people were also very strong, right? So this is how exactly Jamia Millia Islamia and non-cooperation movement, they were part of each other. And it was basically started off to promote nationalist ideas in India amongst the people of the society. So Jamia Millia Islamia was first of all established at Aligarh, right? It was established at Aligarh with a different name by Muhammad Ali Johar and others. So it was established as National University, right? But later on, it was shifted from Aligarh to Delhi, and it was in Delhi for in Karol Bagh, right? In Karol Bagh and places nearby, it was there, and then later on, it got shifted to its present location, that is Okhla. That is Okhla, and with the establishment of this particular university at Okhla, it also became India's India's first university to be established in a village. To be established in a village. So that is something which we need to understand. So it was India's first university in village. So it was actually a part of the largest nationalist struggle which was going on in India at that particular point of time. And Jamia Millia Islamia, from its starting journey in 1920 till 2020, has covered a huge amount of time in terms of advancement, in terms of providing good quality education, in terms of providing various pioneers. Like you see, people like I think Shah Rukh Khan, people like Virendra Sehwag, and others, they are the prestigious alumni of this particular university, right? So this is something which we need to understand. So Jamia actually contributed to India's nationalist struggle by promoting ideas to glorify India's past, to glorify India's struggle for freedom. That is why Jamia Millia Islamia occupies a very, very important position in the Indian struggle for freedom history, right? So that is the basic idea. And Anil, the founder, was your Muhammad Ali Johar, right? His grave is still there in Jamia Millia Islamia. If you people want to visit, sometimes Jamia Millia Islamia, I can take you through the guided tour, right? One of the alumni are still studying, still teaching, is still standing in front of you also. So I also study in Jamia Millia Islamia since 2014. So since 2014 till this is 2020, for 6 long years, I have been the part of Jamia Millia Islamia, right? From my pre-PhD, now about to complete PhD in 1.5 years, I have been part of this whole journey called Jamia, right? So that is the basic idea which we need to understand, right? When is my final year? It's like difficult, right? The PhD is something which drags on. So 2020 was supposed to be my final year, right? So I took admission in PhD in 2016 November. So this year, 2020, I was targeting as my final year. But because of the things, because I got married, once you get married, the things become like go in a different direction. So it is not dragging. So I am targeting next year. Let's see if I'm able to complete this. See, the things are different. Context changes, right? So that is the basic idea. So this is the first thing which you need to write in your notebooks also. That Jamia today has completed 100 years. It is actually an institution which represents the development of nationalist feelings during the Indian freedom struggle, right? So that is why it occupies a very, very important role in the Indian history. So this is the basic idea. And also, I have the article which has come in the newspaper, which actually elucidates the history of Jamia Millia Islamia. So what I'm going to do is, I am going to actually give the link of that article to these people, right? And they are going to forward you in whatever group they have added you. And also, I'll tell you what you do is you just get the e newspaper of Hindustan Times. You just read the Hindustan Times of today, and you are actually going to find an article in that particular newspaper, right? So, this is the article I found from Hindustan Times of 29th October 2020, right? So, that was the e paper. You can access it yourself. Why wait for others to actually give it to you? You can access it in Hindustan Times, 29th October 2020, right? So this is the basic idea. This is the thing which was in first thing which was important from today's newspaper, right? Now let's go on to second major event of today, that is Eid ul Milad or Milad ul Nabi. So Eid ul Milad or Milad un Nabi, that is celebrated across the Muslim countries across India on 29th October 2020. So this is the basic thing, which is another major event of today. As I told you earlier also. So whatever I'm going to find important from the newspaper from that particular day, ever if any important event has occurred on a particular date, I'm going to tell you. And this Jamia and this second idea of Eid, right? So this is something which is very, very important, right? Okay, fine. Point is, you see, I'm going to explain a little background before coming to this particular idea, Milad un Nabi, right? That what exactly is this particular Eid? Because this is a kind of Eid which not many people are aware of. If you do not exactly read the newspaper or you are not listening to the news, you do not come across this particular Eid very frequently. Not many people are aware of this particular Eid. And that is where UPSC tends to play. UPSC might ask you that what do you understand by the term Milad ul Nabi? Or rather, they can actually add on a particular question. They can ask you that why is Milad ul Nabi celebrated in the Muslim world? So this is how exactly, because this Eid is not that kind of famous, so it is frequently not discussed by people. So that is why I have taken this up. So the point is, the Muslim community in Islam, we actually have three kinds of Eid, right? We actually have three kinds of Eid. So first Eid, which everybody knows, is your Eid ul Milad or your Mithi Eid, or this is the Eid which is celebrated by giving each other some sweets, specifically the kheer, sevayon ki kheer, right? That is the Mithi Eid, how it is popularly known as in the culture, right? That is the first Eid. Second Eid is Eid ul Zuha, Eid ul Zuha, and that particular Eid is also known as Bakr Eid, on which day a goat is sacrificed and then it is being distributed amongst the people of the community, right? And then comes this particular Eid, which is known as Milad ul Nabi. So this the significance कि ये ईद क्यों मनाई जाती है, इसका एक बहुत सिंपल रीजन ये है that it is celebrated as the birthday of Prophet Muhammad. It is celebrated as the year, as the time when Prophet Muhammad was born, right? So it is basically celebrated as the birthday of Prophet Muhammad. So on this day, what people do is they gather, they actually sing, they actually read out all the messages, all the things which were being told to people by Prophet Muhammad so as to create awareness about humanity, what the good things everybody should do. So this is the basic idea. This is how exactly this Eid is celebrated, right? So Milad un Nabi is basically the Eid to commemorate the birth of Prophet Muhammad, right? So that is the basic idea which we need to understand when we are talking about the occasion of today, that is Milad un Nabi. So it is basically to commemorate the birth of Prophet Muhammad, right? And I'll just write another thing also. It is celebrated by reading out aloud the teachings of Prophet to the common people. Its basic idea is to spread humanity amongst the people, right? So this is how exactly Eid ul Milad is. Milad actually means when you gather together, right? Milad, basically the birth. Milad actually means the whole idea of birth. So, right, so this is the basic idea of this particular Eid. And this is why, that is why I just got these two things from the newspaper today. So I thought I should discuss this particular idea. And before I go on further, like one thing leads to another. So there is another event which is being celebrated in the month of April. And again, that is not exactly a very, very famous event in the Islamic world. That event is known as Shab-e Barat or Shab-e Raat, right? Shab-e Raat. So, what do you think happens on Shab-e Raat? Let's see who is telling me this. Let's see who is telling me this, that what is happening on Shab-e Raat or Shab-e Barat as it is commonly known as. Because that is another event which is not very common amongst the people. So UPSC might ask you the significance of that particular event in the Islamic world because Islam as a religion is part of art and culture. So it's my duty to actually tell you all these particular important ideas, right? Muhammad gets his knowledge. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, Vibhuti has a question. Yes. So when is Eid ul Fitr celebrated and why? Okay. What is ul or un is actually a connecting word. And Nabi, they actually say, like, I am not totally sure about the meaning of Nabi, but it is that I might be totally wrong in this. But what I've heard it from my friends who study in Jamia, they have told me that it is basically the meaning of this word is birth of prophet, right? Birth of. So un actually works as a connecting word. I might be totally wrong in this, but this is something which is the knowledge I have gathered from my friends in Jamia, right? So this is a birth of prophet, right? Okay. So basically, when we talk about another concept in Islam about Shab-e Raat, so Shab-e Raat is an event which is celebrated which is celebrated in the month of April, right? Month of April, almost every year. So उसमें होता क्या है? So this is actually an event जहाँ पे most of the Muslims they gather, right? During the time of night, they gather and they actually do ibadat. They do prayers all throughout the night. क्यों करते हैं? वो इसलिए करते हैं, they actually in their prayers tell God कि पूरा साल उन्होंने क्या क्या गलतियां करी हैं, राइट? क्या क्या गलतियां उनसे हुई हैं अनजाने में और जान के, राइट? सो दिस इज द बेसिक आइडिया. वो बेसिकली अपनी गलतियां जो उन्होंने करी है पिछले पूरे साल में, वो उसको ध्यान में लेके आते हैं और भगवान से कहते हैं कि लिसन गॉड, हम से जो गलतियां हो गई प्लीज उसके लिए हमें ज्यादा सजा मत देना, राइट? हम इन गलतियों को सुधारने की कोशिश करेंगे. सो बेसिकली यू आर ट्राइंग टू गेट रिप्राइव फ्रॉम द गॉड फॉर द मिस्टेक्स we have committed. So that is what happens on Shabe Raat. This is a night long prayer session in which you ask for reprieve from God for all the wrong things you have done throughout that particular year. Right? तो वो एक important चीज है why Shabe Raat is celebrated and why Eid ul Milad is celebrated. And you will be surprised to know that Eid ul Milad or Milad ul Nabi is actually the Eid which is celebrated with much fanfare and everything in the Islamic world, Saudi Arabia, everywhere. Today is a holiday, right? Today and yesterday. So it actually started from yesterday, it's going to continue till today, right? So it is actually a holiday, not even a single thing will be opened, right? So that is something which we need to understand when we are talking about this, right? Okay. Yeah, Navjot, you are totally correct in this particular. हिंदूज के लिए भी कोई ऐसा रात होती है जहाँ प्रेयर्स टू फॉरगिव आवर सिंस. I haven't heard about this. Mahima, like Might be there will be something, but I haven't heard about this whole idea. Maybe like if we talk to people who are too much into Hinduism and everything, they might know this, but in my family, in my relatives and everything, I haven't heard about this whole concept till now, right? No, no, Eid is today only. Eid is today only, 29th. Like it actually started. My friend is in Dubai. He actually told me that everything is closed there. So yeah, so I, even on Google, in my iPhone, it's actually given 29th all day Eid, right? So you can actually check that. So this is the basic idea. These are the two things or three things which I wanted to discuss as the events from the today's newspaper. So now let's go on to the portion we were doing yesterday, right? Now let's go on to the question we were doing yesterday. What like important cheese we were doing the chronological orders of the gurus, and at the same time, what we also did is we did the important events which happened during their time, right? So this is something which we were doing in yesterday's class. So just to repeat it, I'll just take 2 or 3 minutes and then so as to make a connection with what we were doing yesterday and what we are about to begin in today's class. So I started discussing that the whole idea of Sikhism was something which was being done, which was being started in order to counter the social evils like untouchability, caste system, meaningless rituals. So all these things were there. So it was being professed by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who was born in Talawandi, Punjab, which is now in Pakistan. And in this particular place, a very famous Gurdwara has now been erected, known as Nanakpura Gurudwara, right? And it is a very, very holy site for the Sikh people, right? And we also discussed that the whole meaning of the word Sikh is derived from a Pali word, Sekho, is derived from a Pali word, Sekho, which means disciple of truth. Disciple of truth. So that is the basic idea which we need to understand when we are talking about this particular thing. So someone who only adheres to truth is the thing which we need to understand, right? So the point is कि कहीं ना कहीं Guru Nanak Dev Ji never wanted to actually start an institutionalized form of religion. He was only interested in countering the social evils, right? So that we were discussing. We also discussed that how exactly the idea of Sangat was started by him, where everyone was sitting together and they were actually having discussions. And when everyone was sitting together, there was no distinction of caste, religion, economic status, social status. Everyone was just sitting despite all these differences, which was a very, very big step. So after Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I told you, came another Sikh Guru known as Guru Angad. And during the time of Guru Angad, the script Gurumukhi was actually established, right? Gurumukhi was actually a script of the Punjabi language which was established, right? And after Guru Angad came your Guru Amardas, which also marked a fight against social evils. He was someone who started a fight against social evils like sati, like parda, right? He said all these things should not exist in this particular world, right? So this is the basic meaning which we need to understand when we are talking about the development of important events during the various Sikh gurus. Then after Guru Amardas, what we have is Guru Ramdas. This is where we ended. So Guru Ramdas was someone who actually had very good relations with Akbar, and Akbar even granted a village to his wife. And on that particular piece of village land, a sarovar was dug up, and then around that particular sarovar, what we have is the establishment of a city known as Amritsar. Establishment of a city known as Amritsar, right? So this is something which we need to understand when we are talking about your Guru Ramdas, right? So this is the area till which we did yesterday. Now we are going to start off today's lecture with the remaining gurus and what exactly happened during their time, right? Okay, fine. So till Guru Ramdas, we are perfect. Now let's start with Saksham. I'm going to take your question in a bit, right? I'll just take it. Don't worry about this, but I'm going to take this Kartarpur corridor, which is a very like if it's possible today, I'll take it today because not much time is left. It requires 15 to 10, 15 minutes of discussion, which I've already lined up because Kartarpur corridor is something which is very, very important for the current affairs also because this is something which is happening in the present time. So this is something related to Sikhism also. So we are going to dedicate 10 to 15 minutes to this. I think in tomorrow's class only because not much time is left. So I'm going to dedicate 10 to 15 minutes to the discussion like I did to today's class, right? So don't worry about that. Okay, fine. Okay. So the next guru after Guru Ramdas was Guru Arjan Dev. Was Guru Arjan Dev. Please start writing in your notebooks. Guru Arjan Dev. Guru Arjan Dev. Bracket 1581 until 1606. 1606. 1581 until 1606. Right? So we are going to do that. So the first point about him is he compiled Adi Granth. He compiled Adi Granth. He compiled Adi Granth and installed it at Shri Har Mandir Sahab. Installed it at Shri Har Mandir Sahab. Installed it as Shri Har Mandir Sahab. Full stop. Next point is he completed the construction. He completed the construction of Amritsar. He completed the construction of Amritsar, Kartarpur, etc. He completed the construction of Amritsar, Kartarpur, etc. Full stop. Next point is, this is very, very important. The next point which I'm going to tell you is very, very important. Please try and understand this point. Not very difficult, but you need to keep this in mind, right? Next the last point about him is, he was executed. He was executed by Jahangir. He was executed by Jahangir for helping his son. His son here means Jahangir's son, right? For helping his son Khusrau. For helping his son Khusrau. Khusrau. For helping his son Khusrau. Full stop. I'll just tell you the whole history of it in a bit, right? For helping his son Khusrau and was regarded as the first martyr, of Sikh religion. First martyr of Sikh religion, regarded as the first martyr of Sikh religion. Full stop. He was also given the title. he was also given the title Shahida the Sartaj. Shahida the Sartaj. Shahida the Sartaj. Right? Shahida the Sartaj actually means someone who is the first martyr, or basically seen as the crown, or basically seen as someone as the most important person to lay down his life. Shahida the Sartaj means somebody who is the head of the martyrs, somebody who is the first martyr of that particular community. Shahida is your martyr, of the means of, Sartaj means the king of martyrs, right? So that is the title which was given to Guru Arjan Dev Ji, right? So this is the basic idea about him. Now, I have two or three points to discuss about Guru Arjan Dev Ji in this particular idea. First thing is that he compiled Adi Granth. Adi Granth came to be known as your Guru Granth Sahib, right? So it was later on, things were added into it, and slowly and steadily, sorry, it got the whole idea of Guru Granth Sahib, right? So that is the basic idea. Sath sath mein, we have also studied that it was installed at Shri Harmandir Sahib. Shri Harmandir Sahib. And Shri Harmandir Sahib is the another name for Golden Temple of Amritsar, is another name of Golden Temple of Amritsar, right? It is known by three names: Harmandir Sahib, second name is Darbar Sahib, third name is Golden Temple. Third name is Golden Temple, right? So these are the three names which are given to Harmandir Sahib, right? But the story does not end here. Now, people tend to think that why exactly it came to be known as Golden Temple. इसको Golden Temple का title क्यों दिया गया? Right? Why it came to be known as Golden Temple? So the whole idea is, earlier when it was being constructed, right, during the time of various Sikh gurus, Ramdas, Guru Arjan Dev, and all these people. So अब क्या है, धीरे धीरे the whole place became even more big, right? The place kind of acquired even more importance. It began to be seen as the biggest symbol of Sikh religion, right? So now people started to give in their own contribution. And one such contribution was actually given by the greatest Sikh ruler, that is your Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Maharaja Ranjit Singh, whose time period is approximately 1798, right? Whose time period is approximately 1798 till 1839-40, right? So that is the time period of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh, from time to time, like in 1806, 1809, around that time, he got the temple reconstructed in marble, right? Got the temple reconstructed in marble. And by 1830, Maharaja Ranjit Singh covered the entire dome, entire main dome, and entire place, the entire main sanctum, right, of Golden Temple, which is located in the midst of the Sarovar, with gold foil, with gold, right? So basically, the gold which we see on Golden Temple today was most of it was given by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. That is why Harmandir Sahib came to be known as the Golden Temple, right? So this is something which we need to know for our exam, right? This is something we know to know for the exam, right? So that is the basic idea. 1606 section, right? Okay. So this was a one thing which I wanted to tell you. So whenever you people are making notes in your notebooks, what you need to do is, when you write Harmandir Sahib, make a box. I'll just tell you what to do. Make a box. After making a box, write Harmandir Sahib. Harmandir Sahib, you need to write, and then began writing its history, that how exactly It first of all was established in the city of Amritsar, right? Then how it got its name, Harmandir Sahib. And then 2 points should also be added for its significance, for its significance during and after independence, during and after independence, right? So this is something which we need to do. पहले ऊपर दो में हरमंदिर साहिब के establishment हुआ, then the golden thing was donated by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. That is what you should write. And next 2 points should be about the importance of Golden Temple during the time of national movement in India. That is a very, very important point which I have already covered in modern India. And also the importance of Golden Temple after independence, right? Because Golden Temple was a epicenter of a major movement even after independence, right? Which led to a kind of political chaos in the country, right? Which led to the political chaos in the country. And for some reason, we are still not over that kind of problems which were created during that particular point of time. I don't want to get into any sort of controversy right now regarding the events which occurred in the post independence era. I hope everybody knows that what, yeah, do not say anything more, right? Operation Blue Star is something which is associated with your Golden Temple, right? So, this is how exactly a temple structure gains importance for our prelims examination. So, when we are going to come to the post independence India, we are going to cover this particular idea that how exactly the Operation Blue Star actually changed the Indian political dynamics and how exactly the things started to change in Punjab also, right? So that is something which is reserved for post-independence India. But in the meanwhile, if you want to read, I'll suggest a very good book which gives a very lucid information along with pictures, and that is very easy to read. A very easy to read book which you anyway have to read, which you have to read for post-independence India. And the name of that book is India After Gandhi. Name of that book is India After Gandhi by Ramchandra Guha. By Ramchandra Guha. And there in that particular book, we are going to get each and every information about Operation Blue Star, right? So this is the basic idea. I could have suggested you a movie also on this Operation Blue Star, but I'm refraining myself from saying anything which is not politically correct over here, right? So that is the basic idea. I could have suggested, but no, I'm not suggesting it. Yeah. So that is one thing which was happening here at the significance of Harmandir Sahib. This is what you need to write in your notebooks as notes, right? And regarding the martyrdom of Guru Arjan Dev, regarding the martyrdom of Guru Arjan Dev in 1606, what happens is, I'll tell you a little story ताकि दिमाग के अंदर ये वाला पॉइंट बैठ जाए. अब इसमें हुआ क्या? From 1556 till 1605, what was happening is that Akbar was ruling the Mughal Empire. So almost for 49 years, he was at the helm. But now Jahangir, his son, and the sons of Jahangir, Khusrau, they both started getting very, very impatient. They were like, why is not Akbar dying? ये कब मरेगा ये इंसान? अब जब ये जाएगा, तो then we are going to come to the gaddi or the throne of the Mughal Empire. So they started planning and plotting. So Jahangir even hired a killer, a contract killer known as Veer Singh Bundela to kill Akbar. But before Veer Singh Bundela could kill Akbar, what happened is Akbar died of some stomach-related illness. Right now, Jahangir was the forerunner to the throne, but his son Khusrau, he rebelled against his father. Khusrau said, "I need the throne. I will get the throne, not you." So both father and son, they got into a fight with each other. So the son had to actually run away from Agra and go to Punjab, where he took the shelter with Guru Arjan Dev. This actually tells us that Sikh religion was now becoming very, very important in India. So once he took shelter in that particular area, this was not liked by Jahangir. Jahangir said, "This is a direct attack on my sovereignty. This is a direct attack on my authority." So he executed Guru Arjan Dev Ji, right? So this is the first in line of the executions which are going to take place, because Aurangzeb is also going to commit the same crime, right? Aurangzeb is also going to do the same thing with Guru Tegh Bahadur at Chandni Chowk, right? So that is the basic idea. So Vibhuti, I think your answer is Saksham. There is no answer to this. There is no person who can be judged as good or bad, right? Everyone has various qualities, so we can. They were just fighting for power, so there's nothing like good or bad. Everyone was just fighting. It was like a Game of Thrones which was happening in the Mughal Empire, right? So every time a king died in the Islamic dynasties, whether it is Delhi Sultanate or the Mughal Empire, so there was no proper law of succession like we have in the pre-Islamic world of India, or like in the Hindu kingdoms. The rule was known as primogeniture. That is, the eldest son is going to succeed his father. But these people did not have any such law. So now, after the death of every king, this is a Game of Thrones which is going on, and they are just going to fight with their own army, with their own resources, and eventually will lead to the decline of these particular people only. Right? Okay, fine. So the next guru is Guru Har Gobind. So the next guru is Guru Har Gobind. Guru Har Gobind, 1606, Guru Har Gobind, 1606 until 1644. 1606 until 1644. Yeah. First point about him is he was the guru. He was the guru with longest tenure. He was the guru with longest tenure. With longest tenure. Full stop. Next point is he is credited. He is credited with transforming. He is credited with transforming Sikh community into a military community. Sikh community into a military community. Military community. Full stop. Same point. He fortified Amritsar. He fortified Amritsar. He fortified Amritsar and established Akal Takht. And established Akal Takht. Established Akal Takht. Full stop. This was basically an institution. This was basically an institution where the religious and political matters. It was an institution where religious and political matters were discussed. Religious and political matters were discussed. Religious and political matters were discussed. Full stop. Next point is he started to wage wars. He started to wage wars against against Jahangir, bracket, 1605 till 1627 against Jahangir, and Shah Jahan against Jahangir and Shah Jahan, bracket 1628 until 1658. 1628 until 1658. Full stop. So you see what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to tell you the time periods of the Mughal emperors again and again. Because if you try and ratify the time of the Mughal emperors, we will not be able to remember them, right? And the chronological order is very important from the examination perspective. So what I'll try and give is whenever I find some important ruler of the Mughal specifically, or the Delhi Sultanate specifically, what I'll try and do is I'll give you the time period again and again, right? जब बार बार उस चीज को तुम देखोगे, right? So you will be able to understand it in a much better manner. So that is why I am just giving you the time period here also, right? So this is the basic idea. Next point is he started the concept of Miri and Piri. He started the concept of Miri and Piri, which was represented by the symbol of two knives, which was represented by the symbol of two knives. Symbol of two knives. Symbol of two knives. Full stop. Now, let's see who tells me this. What do you understand by the term Miri? What do you understand by the term Miri? Let's see who tells me this. Jaldi, jaldi. What do you understand by the term Miri? Because this is something which can be asked in the exam. Miri. Ruling, good. Okay. So basically, you see, the whole idea of the term Miri is the temporal power, is the political power, is the temporal power, or you can actually say the political power. Political power. So what Guru Hargobind started to do is he started to wield political power also in the areas of Punjab and around that particular place. He started to say that, look, I am the political authority of this particular place. You people need to pay me the taxes, right? Rather than the Mughals, you people need to pay me the taxes. So you actually see the conflict between the Mughals and the Sikhs is now begin to escalate, right? It's now began to kind of increase, intensify, because through this whole concept of Miri, where the gurus have started yielding political power, they are trying to say that we are the lords of this place. And they are trying to tell the Mughal governors that you are no longer authorized to rule in this particular place. So please refrain. So it will lead to the increase in conflicts even more. From the time of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, we saw that when he was executed, so now from the time of Har Gobind Ji, so the conflict is going to actually increase. So this is something which we need to understand, right? So this is the basic idea, and Piri means the spiritual power. Piri means the spiritual power. So the both concept of Miri and Piri, they actually means, Miri means temporal power, Piri means spiritual power. So that is what you need to understand when we are talking about these two concepts of Miri and Piri, right? Okay. Now, the seventh Sikh Guru, Now, the seventh Sikh Guru, Guru Har Rai. Guru Har Rai. Guru Har Rai, bracket 1644, 1644 until 1661. 1661. 1664 until 1661. Okay. There's only one point which is very, very important. He got into conflict. He got into conflict with Aurangzeb. He got into conflict with Aurangzeb. Got into conflict with Aurangzeb over giving shelter. Over giving shelter to his brother. Over giving shelter to his brother Dara Shikoh. Over giving shelter to his brother Dara Shikoh. Got into conflict with Aurangzeb over giving shelter to his brother Dara Shikoh. Right? Full stop. Now the eighth Sikh Guru. Now eighth Sikh Guru, that is Guru Har Kishan. Guru Har Kishan, bracket 1661, 1661 until 1664. 1661 until 1664. 1664. First point is he also got into conflict. He also got into conflict with Aurangzeb. He also got into conflict with Aurangzeb, but he died at a very young age. He died at a very young age due to smallpox. Due to smallpox. Died at a very young age due to smallpox. Right? So this was your, so that is the basic thing. And with this, we come to the end of today's class because it's already time and we have another session to go. So we are going to complete this whole idea in tomorrow's class along with whatever current affairs we have of art and culture from tomorrow's newspaper. And also we are going to do the remaining part of Bhakti movement. That is the various saints, women saints, Alvars, Nayanars, Adi Shankara, Ramanuja, all these people we are going to cover in tomorrow's class, right? And also we are going to cover a small section which tells us that why exactly Bhakti movement is now important even more in the present day scenario, right? So this is what we are going to do. So I'll see you people for art and culture in tomorrow's class, that is Friday, the 30th October. And I'm going to see you people for ancient India in 10 to 15 minutes time. So thank you and have a very nice day.